because it ain't now, don't mean not at all. They ain't pushing me forward, they waiting till I fall. At the end of the day, who can I call? Exactly, nobody at all. Airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars.
So what's up, everybody? Yo, yo, yo. Greetings and salutations. Hello. Well, happy Thanksgiving Eve, right? Is that a thing? Nah, who knows? And welcome to L.O.G.I Lounge with Fleezy Jones, brought to you by Block Legend 7. I am Fleezy Jones, of course. So happy that you guys came in with me. You know, hope everyone's safe, having fun with their La Familia. I know y'all making some good stuff in there, man. You know, let me save brother a plate or something. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Anyway, L.O.G.I Lounge, man. First episode. Excited about this. Once again, I am Fleezy Jones. This is L.O.G.I Lounge. Little talk show, a nice little vibe place. You know, some days I'll do topics and, you know, see what the peoples feel about that. You know, we'll speak, bring some people up to the panel, things like that. But mostly, this show is about reaching out to other people, picking their brain, you know, seeing what's to them, you know what I mean, here at the L.O.G.I Lounge. Me and the homie Joker Rick, you know, we just want to pick certain people's brain. So with that, you know, first episode, right? This is big, man. Shouts out to Block Legend 7, by the way. ING Records. You already know what it is. It's the village. We do what we do when we do it because we do it well. So, you know, I just got back into this whole social media thing not too long ago. And in the midst of me returning, you know, I ran into a lot of interesting people. In the midst of that, one that stuck out the most is the poetry community. And as a lover of music, man, music is my first love. So I absolutely have a soft spot for things like lyrics, wording, you know what I mean, powerful messages, things like that. So I noticed here on IG alone, man, the poetry community is absolutely huge. Huge. And it was just dope, man, to see these people, see how they interact with each other, see how they support each other. You know, the pieces are off the chain. So, you know, that's definitely one thing. One stuck out to me, and that is actually my first guest today, the lovely Miss Valerie Lorraine, who is hailing from British Columbia, Canada. She's been into poetry since 2018, and one thing I noticed about her when I started, you know, when I met her on the IG streets, I like to call it, you know, I just noticed every live she did, every show she did, it was just a real chill vibe. Everybody felt comfortable, you know what I mean? The pieces were dope. It was people from all different shades, all different worlds, different types of livelihoods or life, I mean, and just the whole vibe was crazy. And of course, her pieces were powerful as well. So, you know, in the midst, I did a little more homework, and at the same time, I was working out this show, working out, you know, what I was going to do, the kinks, things like that. So I definitely had to run to her and, you know, say, hey, why don't you be my first guest? You know, I'd like to pick your brain, because in the midst of me seeing her in the poetry community, they call it, you know, she's not selfish. She, you know, cared about everybody else more. So she never put the focus on her, is my point. So I definitely wanted to get her on here to pick her brain and give her a chance to speak on, you know, things that the community might not know about Miss Lorraine. So, you know, guys, I could ramble, I could talk all day, but I'm not going to do that. I see the lovely Miss Valerie Lorraine has come into the room. So, without further ado, people, I'm going to invite her up and get her in here. Come on up. These are coming. There she is. It is
There
going
she
great.
is.
How
Hey,
are
how's it
you on
going?
this Thanksgiving Eve?
Ah, oh, right. In Canada, we've already had Thanksgiving, but I'm doing well, and I wish all my American
Oh,
friends a
wow,
wonderful
really? You
Thanksgiving.
guys celebrated already?
Yeah. So, most of our holidays are right
Mm-hmm.
around the same time, if not the same day. But Thanksgiving is one of the rare occasions where it's really different. So ours is usually around the 9th or the 10th of October.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
So,
okay, so that means you owe me
yeah.
like a pumpkin pie or something, because I don't remember getting a plate or anything. This is ridiculous. We'll have to discuss that later. Well, wow. Well,
Absolutely.
happy but later Thanksgiving to you. Um, so excited
Oh,
for
well,
you
thank
being
you.
here today. I'd like to thank you for coming on to the platform, showing the love, bringing that. I call it human sunflower, everybody. She like brings a different type of energy to the place. So I am extremely grateful for you being here. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for
Oh
asking
man,
me. That means a lot.
that's what we do here. So I was telling the people when I first, when we first linked, I noticed that, first of all, wait, before I even say that, people, let me explain to you who we're talking to. First of all, again, she is hailing from British Columbia, Canada. 1 year she's been on
Yeah.
IG, a little over probably now. She's at 16K plus. If that doesn't say something, I mean, what are we doing here, right? So I had to throw that out there, throw a little alley oop to you because I think that is absolutely amazing. Um, my first question,
Thank
no,
you. Well, let me say
yeah,
something about
absolutely.
that. Yeah, let me say something about that. I appreciate everyone who just has made a decision to follow me for whatever reason they do, but I just, it doesn't matter to me if I have 200 followers or 200,000. What matters to me is
Mm,
the connection. I appreciate this community. I think this community is so incredibly um, generous with their time, their talent, and sharing and inspiring. And as long as they are engaging and interested, that's all that matters. And I do love building community. I love, the one thing I love about my shows is being able to invite people in that we maybe never have seen or heard of before within our community, and welcoming them and having that diversity, because I think inspiration comes from a lot of
mm-hmm.
different places, and I may not write like that person, but their poetry will still give me inspiration. So,
This is what I said. Yes,
and
thank you
welcome
for all
everybody who's in
coming
the
in.
room.
That's what I said, before you came in. You're so selfless. You don't shine the light on yourself. And I think that is so dope because that is a trait that a lot of people don't have. I'm sure you know that as well as others. So that's just good to see. So break down to me, and for those who don't know, what is exactly the poetry community?
So, they're just regular folks who, whether it's a hobby, a passion, or their profession, or they're trying to break through into it as a profession. They are a group of people who have come together and have, enjoyed each other's company for verse, for spoken word, for whatever type of poetry that they do.
No, no, you're fine.
Sorry, my dog's agitated about something. But so they've come together, and really they are for the most part, right? Because no matter what genre you've decided to come into Instagram with, or any social media, there is what I call an anti-community, right? But the community, which I like to only focus on, they're just so generous, very kind, compassionate, and they just have a way of building people up in a very positive manner. And because of such, I've seen people collectively in this community all just level up. And I believe that it's from the inspiration and the support of like-minded people.
Support is definitely the key word there. There's so much lack of that. So that is just dope to even hear that that's your vision. I love it, man. You guys are, first of all, you're huge. The community is huge. It's absolutely huge. I didn't realize how huge it was, but it's really dope, man. Yeah, it's huge.
Really?
So many people since I've linked with you, I've brushed shoulders with, along just out of all over the world. Like, this is not just here or Canada. It's everywhere. So that's
right.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
It's dope. Everywhere. It's incredible. It's incredible. And not only that, but like the part that I love about it is that there's like the community that we have built around us is maybe it's like 1% of what's out there. Maybe it's a bit more, but there's so many more people to meet and explore their work. And that's the part that interests me, because you just never know who you're going to meet. And you never know who they're going to become to you. An inspiration, a friend, somebody who gives you some advice, somebody who just you enjoy watching their posts. And it could be for a season or a reason or, just a passing interest. But regardless of the fact, that's entertaining to me.
It is. It is entertaining. Well, we've spoken of the community. So now, you guys didn't know, Miss Valerie didn't know this was an interview for her. Like I said, man, there's so much, I think, that we don't know about Valerie, the person, as well as the poetess. So I'd like to tap into that if I could, if you don't mind there. All righty. So, first and foremost, you have been poetess or author or both since 2018. Can you elaborate on that for me?
So, in 2017, I had been working in corporate, and I had always worked in the office environment and corporate enterprises, and very competitive, by the way, very, very competitive. And my life started taking a change in 2017, some big, huge life changes. And it took a toll on me personally, because in hindsight, what I couldn't see then was that, my whole life was changing, and I was, I don't exactly know the right words for it, but like basically, I was redeveloping myself. I was at the beginning stages of redeveloping Valerie. And so it took a big toll on me. And in 2018, for unseen to me, but, I wound up, I think everything that I had gone through for that year had taken a toll on me. and I got sick a few times in a row. I went sepsis
Oh
and I almost
wow.
died, and it took a serious consequence to
Yeah.
my overall health for a number of years, and I had to leave corporate medically, and that was traumatic for me. I spent a year trying to figure out who Valerie was because I was corporate. I was everything that I did every day. Like I was the projects, I was the go-to person, I was the trainer, I was the this, I was the that. And then, like, I mean, it literally went from doing all that to worrying about my health and doing nothing and not having that contact, not having,
Yeah.
that work. So, so I had to reinvent myself. First, I had to worry about my health. And then so I spent an entire year trying to figure out who Valerie was. And what wound up happening was I started writing, and that writing became part of pretty much a daily thing, but also it became part of who Valerie became. And
Mm.
eventually, Valerie Lorraine was born. So it was it was a really crucial time in my life, but and very
Yeah.
very
Mm.
challenging, very very challenging. But the one thing that I like to say is that I don't knock it. I wouldn't want to go through something like that again. However, um, I feel blessed by it, and I if I had to go through something like that again, I would look forward to who I was going to be
Mm.
when I came out the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You know, when you explain that, I'm a keyword guy, so I'm hearing reinventing, and as you're speaking to me, I can look and tell as if you're going back there, and it's deep. It's pretty deep. Yeah.
I at one point, um, I at one point spent 35 days in the hospital
Wow.
because I was like they just didn't they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and I've had I've had 9 MRIs. One of them the longest MRI that you can have, which is
Mm.
2.5 hours. Um, I've had a lot of medical work done on me to determine where I was at and how they could help me. So that
Yeah.
was like super challenging and
Yeah.
scary,
Yeah.
really.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but here I am 4 years
Yeah.
later.
So with that, I'm understanding that there was a struggle. There was a lot that you went through that got you the inspiration to write. How did that land to poetess and author?
Well, um, my writing style was kind of free verse. It always has
Mm.
been. Um, so, my first book, Falling, is a lot of my first works. And those first works were very emotional, a lot of emotion about, what was going on, and um, a lot of the emotions that I was going through, a lot of the confusion, a lot of the change. And then there was a shift in my work in probably 2020, 21 to become, it was still very centered around my experiences, but it was very different in the fact that it is more imaginative and poetic as opposed to almost journal
Outstanding.
like
Yeah.
free verse.
So it is you. So when
Yeah.
we think of Valerie Lorraine, the two meet. So how much does Valerie Lorraine, the poetess, match Valerie, the person?
You know, I think my work, when I look back at it, I think it's very storytelling. My life is in all of these pieces, And if they were strung out in the right way, it would probably tell my life story.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it bounces all over the place, but that's how I see it. And I think that in the ways that we relate to other people is through our experiences. And I think that the fact that our work is catching to other people and relatable is inspiring. It can be healing. It can be comforting. You know, I think that one of the devilish things that happens to us in life is that we go through experiences, and they can be traumatic, they can be depressive, they can be all of those things that are the flip side of joy and peace and comfort. And what happens to us is that a lot of times we get into a mind frame that we back away from society and keep to ourselves and go through it and decide that and that can be damaging, right? It can be very isolating and very damaging. And I think that when we understand that other people go through something similar or experience the same maybe feelings, that connects us and doesn't solve anything for us, but it makes us feel like we're part of the collective again, and brings us out of that, you know, that shell that we put ourselves in. So I think that it's a deep form of communication beyond just having a conversation. So I think poetry, I think music, I think lyrics, all of those things, you know, rap, jazz, all of those things are very connecting. All of it comes from a place of deep emotion and thought.
Wow. You know, I talking to you, man, you stump me sometimes, and I'm not a real stumpable person, even if that's the word. But I want to kind of switch it and go into an interesting fact that you shared with me that I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know. Would like to know more about. I understand you did commercials when you were at the age of 7. Can you tell me a little more about that?
I did. So my dad was in corporate, and he had a connection with somebody who was doing commercials, and they needed a young girl, or a young child. And he had asked my dad if I would go and, you know, do a test and see. You know, it was I don't know all about it because I'm this old now, and but that's you know, along the lines of how it started. And I did the test, and we had a good on-screen connection, and so I did a series of commercials, and I wound up doing some for the Shrine Circus. I think I was like 7 or 8 at that time, and yeah, it was interesting. It was fun. So, you know, and it was mostly local things. It wasn't like, you know, national or anything, or international even. It was just local events and things. But you know what? It was fun.
Okay. You might have to show me one of those old footages. I won't go there now, but I might call a personal favor on that. And also,
yeah, you know what? I have to find them and have them transferred over to something that we can watch nowadays.
I didn't even think about that.
I think the original's on beta.
You have a point. Still might want to see it though. That doesn't change.
I want my kids to see it, so I'm gonna have to do that.
That'll be a definite dinner conversation.
They'll probably be like, woohoo.
Sure. Right. It'll be a conversation, I'm sure. Another fun fact. You're into nature photography. Is that a personal thing?
I am. Yeah, you know, I just you know, I grew up around nature. I live on the West Coast. British Columbia is a gorgeous area, especially in the spring, summer. just beautiful. Lots of scenery, and so take pictures, and I always got oogles over my pictures. So it just became
Yeah.
something that I enjoyed doing. So and art runs in our family. So my mom's a beautiful painter, and two of my sons
Nice.
enjoy painting as well. So a lot of times they take the pictures that I take and they paint them. So that's kind of
Oh,
fun.
wow.
So yeah, but yeah, I really enjoy going out and taking pictures of nature, and it's just so
Yeah.
comforting,
Yeah.
you know. And I love animals, and I love I love the moon and the stars and the sky and the ocean, and
Yeah.
like it just all
Yeah.
entertains me. Beaches,
Yeah.
come on
No,
now.
right? Nature is definitely
Even
dope.
rocks,
Yeah.
even rocks. Like if I'm out at the beach, and if I'm out at the beach, I got a pocket full of rocks and a pocket full of shells.
Well, the another one. You like to cook.
Okay, love to cook. Love to cook. I've been cooking um, since I was quite young. I remember my mom having me up on a big step stool chair in the kitchen and making pancakes and all kinds of stuff, and help my grandmas make pies and that. And then we had an aunt who had married into the family later on in life, and she would come from Ontario, and she used to have a cooking show in Ontario. So she would teach me things that she learned, and then I had like all the family from Saskatchewan, so they knew how to cook,
Mhm.
like the farm meals, the big meals, big kind of. We would think of it like a catered meal for dozen, 2 dozen people, but that was just their life. So I had a lot of wonderful women giving me instruction on how to cook, and by the time I was 10, I
Oh,
was making
wow.
dinners at home, and yeah, and I have been told I'm a pretty good cook. So my kids like it when I make family dinner, and they have their. I always ask them for their birthdays, what do you want me to make, or special occasions, and what do you want me to make? And they've got a list,
Okay.
usually things that I don't want to make that day, but they've got.
Well, they're gonna always make it difficult. What's your favorite thing to make? What's Valerie's favorite dish as far as you cooking it?
So I was vegan for about 15 years, so I learned how to cook completely differently. Learning how to cook vegan is not like people think. There's some really interesting ways to cook and different ingredients to use, and really like it's far out. So a lot of the things that I like to cook, um, a lot of them are vegan. I love cauliflower wings, buffalo cauliflower wings. Love them. Love making them. Um, there's just so many different things. I love broccoli salad. Um, I love spring, or sorry, like they're like a spring roll, but they're like a
Mhm.
vegetable wrap done in the rice paper. Oh my god, I love those. And but even though when I was vegan, I still cooked meat for the family. And one of my favorite things to make is like a slow cooked prime roast, and I call it carved beef because like literally it just like you don't need a knife. It just comes off like butter, and my kids love kids love it when I make ribs. I like making a zucchini lasagna, like a vegetable lasagna with zucchini instead of
I'm
noodles.
listening. I like
Mm.
lasagna. Now, so far, no disrespect to my vegans out there. I love everybody, but I wanted a peaceful interview. You kind of scared me with those things you said. I didn't want us cussing at each other or anything like that. But then you said ribs, and I came back. I was like, I'm back to it. But no, you got me on this lasagna. Let me hear about that.
You know what? It's surprisingly delicious, and the funny thing is that um, even people who don't eat
Mm-hmm.
vegan, they taste it and they're surprised and they enjoy it. My one son, he's hilarious. He used to get really upset when I was vegan, and he'd tease me and he'd say that I was, eating
Yeah.
table crumbs. Or he'd say something like, "Just pick one animal. Just pick one animal and eat that."
Oh
He
man.
cracked me up, but you know, there's still things that I won't eat, even though I have come out of being vegan for a while because I want to give myself a break and then go back.
Mm-hmm.
But I still won't mess with eggs, and yeah, so that's one thing that I won't eat. But
I ain't mad at you, but I'm definitely gonna be in line.
and I still won't eat bacon.
What?
Yeah, I still won't eat bacon. No, no thanks.
I still.
No, I'm trust me. I know what it tastes like. I know what it tastes like, and I'm not saying it doesn't taste good. It's just something about bacon. I just, it's the same thing as eggs for me. I just can't
Now
do it.
you know what I
So,
talk stuff, but I do have people dear to me that feel the same way. So I get it. I won't fully judge you. Am I a little hurt? Absolutely. Am I gonna probably cry after this live? Probably, but I don't even know. It's not about me. It's about you today. But no, I totally get that. But even, I mean, you can make it as good. You know what I mean? As like, especially going back to the lasagna, if you could make it just as good, because I'd be willing to try it. I have to be honest. It'll be because I'd be trusting you. I'd literally be trusting you. If someone outside, like I went to a store and they offered me zucchini lasagna, I'd probably just be getting out of jail from the assault. But again, that's
well, you know what the thing is, um, and for me, right? Like, I mean, I like to eat. There's no bones about that one. But for me, it's all about taste and
okay.
texture. And if it doesn't have that, then it's not happening. I don't care if you're telling what you're telling me. If it doesn't have those things, then there's no point in consuming it. It's just a waste of time and calories and cooking and everything else. So I can
You
guarantee you it
warm my
tastes good.
heart again. All right, so you're about the season. That's important. Okay, so I'm back again. I wasn't sure if I was talking to the same Valerie or not. I didn't know if you sent me someone else or something. No, I'm fooling with you. Well, that is dope. That is dope. But I am going to bring it back to you, of course, Valerie Lorraine, the
Okay.
poetess. What is your first piece? Official. And I don't necessarily mean the one, as you said, that helped you come up
Sorry,
with
say
the tools, but what was that first piece that said, I am Valerie Lorraine, the poetess? Uh oh.
you're asking me about it, or you want to
You
hear it,
think I
like,
don't
or
want to
just
hear it
what?
if you
What are you
remember?
asking?
You can.
The title of it? And Tiger Eyes. It's called Tiger Eyes.
Hell, not hit me with it and tell me
Yeah.
about it.
That it was one of the first pieces that I felt like this is something, like it was expressive, um, but it wasn't just plain
Hmm.
language. It it had meaning to me, but it was just very descriptive, you know, um, and I really liked it. And then I have a few pieces that really mean something to me, and to me, you know, those pieces are probably what have stood out to me as I've leveled up, you know, and continued to level up, those are the pieces that stuck with me, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm proud of this piece. You know, like this is where it's at for where I am right now. So yeah, but that was, I think Tiger Eyes was
You
the
know I'm
first one.
totally writing this down, right? Tiger
Okay.
Eyes. So writing this down right now. I like that. I like that. Now the author part, are you just limited to poetry, or is there, you know, a possibility that you would do a different type of book?
Well, so my next book, which will be my third book that is my own collective work, I'm working on. I'm in no rush to work through it. It'll
Mm-hmm.
probably take me a year as I collect pieces and continue to create pieces on it. But it's going to be called Masterfully Wounded, and it is going to be some reflective um, content. Maybe, you know, I guess maybe like reflections or journal entries type, you know, passages. And then it does have poetry um, that goes along with those. Sort of, you know, a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
explanation, but not necessarily an explanation meant for the reader. It was meant for
Okay.
my healing journey.
Okay.
So, you know, the trauma that I went through, um, and have spent a long time um, trying to resolve.
Yeah.
So, and you know, it's like those kinds of things are layers. So you think like, oh, okay, I've I feel better. I've managed this, and then
Yeah.
you move into a deeper layer. So
Yeah.
trauma is never fully healed.
Yeah, it
It just
does.
evolves. You know, just the same as
Yeah.
grief. Same as grief,
Yeah.
right?
That's absolutely true. That there's still some things, you know, some things never leave. You know what I mean? You have to absolutely push through. And some things I have to say for me are not always motivation. They're more of what not to do, if you know that makes any sense. So I definitely understand that.
Oh yeah, it does. You know, I think that we have to continually be live in a place of gratitude that these experiences had the opportunity to shape us and that we could learn from them, and that, you know, I mean, not every experience that we go through is going to be
Yeah.
pleasant, and some unfortunately are very, very unpleasant. But you know, I think that um, in my willingness to heal and to be better, I've always taken the mindset that, well, I need to find the gratitude in this. And that isn't always easy, especially in the very beginning. It wasn't easy, but it really helped me stay in that, in the most positive place that I could be in. And some days that
Yeah.
was difficult. You know, some days that was like, I was, I don't know if it makes any sense, but I was trying to find the positivity in being so completely broken,
Wow.
you
Yeah,
know, but
absolutely makes sense.
but yeah, the flip side of that is that in order to grow, there has to be some kind of a break.
Wow. I can't help but look into your eyes, Val. You got some things to tell. This is why I'm extremely grateful to have you here, because I'm pretty sure, you know, I've noticed a lot of the poetry community have been coming in and out. And I know, I'm almost positive these are
Yeah,
things that they just don't know. You know what I mean? For someone to have been through what you've been through, especially health wise, your attitude doesn't show that. And what I mean, and maybe I'm limited to my background because, you know, I come from where a person will be bitter towards you because of something that happened to them that has nothing to do with you, like at all. I've been a person, I'm guilty of it. I've done it, but I've learned from it, and I absolutely can't stand it. But when I look at you, I don't I don't see a person that's been hurt. You know what I mean? I don't see that. And that's a super strength. I don't see a person that's been through medical issues that had to reinvent themselves, and that's usually you can kind of only can see it with you speaking to me. I can tell as you go back. You can see it in your eyes. Eyes never lie. We all know that. The eyes can never lie. You know, you can think you can fool somebody,
It's
but
true.
all it takes is for someone to pay attention to know that there may be something deeper there. So, I had to give big ups to you on that.
Well, I
Yeah,
have a secret.
give it
I
to
have a
me.
secret for you. Some of the things that we've talked about today, I've never divulged in the community.
So I'm Barbara Walters for real. Nickname myself
Yeah,
Fleezy Waters. Like that might be a
yeah,
name now. Wow. Well, first and foremost,
that might
thank
be a
you.
name.
You know what I mean? Like I wanted to know that, and I thought that in a way. I wasn't sure, but I'm extremely grateful that you were willing to do that with me, because one thing that stuck out, I'm like, the way you do your shows, right? When I pop, it's not even about I do your pieces, ending it, and you're moving right on. You don't stick there. You like look at me.
No, because you know what? Those shows are about the community. They're not about me. They're not about me. They're about the community coming together and sharing their work. It's not about me. And yes, I may share a piece or two, especially if I'm asked. Of course I will if I'm asked. And I have had, some people say, "Why don't you share one of your pieces?" And of course, like you don't have to twist my rubber
Right,
arm,
right.
right? But right? But it's not about me. I put that time aside to welcome the community to come and join us and celebrate the community and that person and their talent and the inspiration that they're giving. You know, anytime that we turn on the show, like on any channel that I appear on, anytime that we turn on that channel, like we are only as good as the people who walk in the door and spend the time
Mm.
with us. We're not like if they didn't show up, it'd be me sitting there chatting away and yeah, probably going to read my poetry to, fill the time or grab some of these poetry books from the community that I have been gifted so generously. But like it is about the community. It's not about me. I can I can wander around these IG poetry streets and find all kinds of lives to do exactly what they're meant to do, get on
Yeah,
there and read my
yeah.
own poetry. It's not about me. And that is kind of my point, like let's hear what everybody else has to say. Let's hear their poetry. Let's hear their take on, you know, whatever's going on. Let them come up and say like, hey, I have this going on. I have a book. I have, um, a show. I have whatever
Yeah.
it is that they want to share with us. That's their time. And I am genuinely interested in what they have. And I'm genuinely want to support them because the corporate world is, I'm getting to that finish line and I will push anybody out of my way who's going to stop me. And that's what I love about this community because when I'm trained, so that's corporate, but in training, when I was a senior trainer, which meant that I trained
Yeah.
people how to train other people, as well as training people in their jobs. But what I loved about in training is that I need you to be at a certain
Yeah.
level, right, so that you
Yeah.
can do your job capably. So that part is not competitive. And so, and I've said this a lot on IG, right? It's like, you know what? We are all meant to cross the finish line. And I am taking you all with me, just as I hope somebody else is taking me with them. But the only way that I'm going to push you out of my way is if you're in my way. Because I am getting to that finish line. Regardless, no matter what that finish line is for me. Right? And then there's always another one after that. We're never done. Right? But I love that about this community. And so when I bring people onto my shows, that's my philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's go. Tell us what you have going on. Tell us, you know, your book. Like, let's get your book sold. Let's get, you know, like, talk about yourself. Let people know what you have going on. Let's hear some of your work. Like, you know, that's my philosophy behind doing my shows.
Yeah. Again, so selfless. Absolutely selfless. Which brings me, you know, I'm listening to come from that corporate world, right? And I get that in a way. I may not have been in the same position as you, but I've definitely been in the work world where you see that competition, you see that cutthroat, and you honestly, it's like you were saying, that was your life. Like, that's, I got to do this. I got to eat. Choose you over me. I'm going to choose me. You know what I mean? Like, that's, and to see you as this person, it boggles me. That absolutely boggles me. And it also brings another question now that I see that, seeing your work, seeing what you've done in your lives and how you are in the poetry community, who influences Valerie?
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, that's kind of, to me, a question that feels strange to answer, but you know, the universe does. The community does. The generosity is overwhelming, and I love that. You know, that really bolsters me, because I believe in kindness. And even when I was in corporate, you know, I believed in kindness, and that did get me. That did give me a lot of places, but it also that environment also rattled me, because I understood the competition, and I am very competitive. No bones about it. You know, as everybody who had my same job all over North America, in our region, we were all graded monthly on our jobs. Like, you know, we got the, and when I first came in, my position, I didn't realize, they don't tell you you're graded right away because they want you to learn and everything. And so out of 31 or 32 people, I was just doing my job and learning my job. I was 15 on the board. That didn't settle with me. So within 2 months, I was number 2 on the board, and I never fell behind number 2. I was number 2 or number 1. So I was competitive, but it wasn't competitive to the point where, like, it's you or me, like, and I'll do anything I can to sabotage you so that I'm up there. I was just always in competition with myself and pushing myself. Like, this needs to be done. And, you know, so, but there are a lot of people in corporate who are like, if you don't succeed, then I succeed easier. And that part was hard to deal with. So, you know, but people flock together, right? Like-minded people, like-hearted people, you know, they flock together. But I will say, I had so many great mentors. It's so many great mentors along the way. And I think there was one of them in one of the organizations, which was a nonprofit organization that I was in. I was in that organization for 15 years. And I had one of the most incredible mentors and teachers there. And I think that in hindsight, after leaving and having a chance to look back on things, I think he really had a very big imprint on how I managed myself, how I set goals for myself, how I went forward, and how I decided to live with my successes, right? Because we can be kind, we can be humble, we can still, in being humble, be proud of ourselves, or we can be catty and, like, hoity-toity and, everything that's the opposite of that. And I just don't see value in that. I mean, I don't know.
No, you've said a mouthful. That, like I say, I am extremely honored to even this Val out. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of Buckeyes in the poetry community now to even, as you said, they don't get this, and I'm glad that I got to give them this. I do have a final question for you before we wrap up, because I gotta have
Yeah.
Valerie Lorraine piece spit beforehand, and you definitely gotta plug yourself and let them know where to find you. It's not
Okay.
even a question.
Okay.
It's something that I gotta give shouts out to Block Legend 7. He puts me in the mind state of, he always tells me, what are you giving to the youth? What message are you providing for the youth? So I raise that question to you when it comes to the poetry community or any community in that aspect. What is Valerie Lorraine's message for the youth? It could be inspirational or whatever you feel. What would you tell them as far as goals and getting there?
Well, I think what I like to say to people is, write for yourself. Don't try and write for an audience. Write for yourself, and the right audience will come to you. Dig deep and be vulnerable. Vulnerability, and I'm not saying that you have to give out all your secrets, but I'm saying be vulnerable in that piece. Be vulnerable in, no matter what it's about. It could be about nature. Get vulnerable, and build your community. Get inspired by other people. Talk to people. Talk about poetry. Find somebody who really has no motivation to influence you, right? And ask them about your poetry, right? To have discussions about it, because you can learn from people. Accept critical criticism, right? Positive critical criticism. And in saying positive, that doesn't mean that they're not going to hit you on something that you could do better, right? It just means that they're not doing it in a negative way, right? But also know that, like, you trust this person, you believe that they have your best interests at heart, right? But also keep open to the fact that just because they tell you something, it needs to sit well with you, right? We don't just take somebody's, like, oh, such and such said I should do this, so I'm going to do this. What if it's not your style? What if you don't feel comfortable doing that? Like I said in the beginning, the very first thing is you write for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So, and never stop building your community. You just never know who you're going to meet. And, we don't need to meet somebody to expect something from them. But just having their poetry cross our feed could very well be interesting and inspire us. And then the last thing that I always say is that write outside of your genre. It does not mean that you're going to enjoy it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to stick with it, but writing outside your genre teaches yourself something. You stepped out of your comfort zone, and you learn something. Even if you're like, I hated that, I'm never going to write a limerick again, or I'm never going to write whatever, a sonnet, whatever, could be a sonnet. I'm never going to do that again. I just didn't enjoy that. Guess what? When you go back to your own genre, you've learned something, and even if it's way back in that other brain, you definitely have learned something, and you will start to see your work level up in slight ways, and it'll build. So
Wow.
that's my PSA.
Yeah, you heard it here on the Logic Lounge, man. That is I have no words. I love your selflessness. I keep saying that, and I'm going to keep saying that. You are a true human sunflower. And, before we close out this first episode of Logic Lounge with Fleezy Jones, that the lovely Valerie Lorraine rocked out with me, I have to. I'm not going to be able to sleep, and I like my sleep. I got to have a piece. Please.
Okay. Well, I'm going to. Here we go. So, if it's okay with you, I'd like to read 2.
What?
Is that okay? Okay. So this is Tiger.
No, I'm like, why are you asking me questions you know the answer to? Rock that out.
Okay. So this is Tiger Eyes that I spoke to you about before. Okay. Tiger Eyes. Good. Tiger Eyes with all those lies. You paraded into my life. You took me like a storm takes the ocean and makes hurricanes. And with all your deceit, you tore up my life. I loved you. With all my soul and all my being, I gave all of myself to you. I didn't save anything for anyone else. You demanded it of me silently, like the rain demands that everything it touches gets soddened with its strength. Sometimes calm, sometimes violent, and that was you. Unpredictable. You are a drug, and you intoxicated my very soul. My life was addicted to you, toxic and wasteful. Not a life, but a dream. And the visions you created were not a reality, just an oasis, an aura, a facade. My reality is me, and here I am, learning that all lies carry an ounce of truth. Your truth is there's nothing left of you. You are a shell on the beach that is inhabited, beautiful. You want to pick it up and keep it, but it is empty and soulless. If you put it to your ear, you can hear the ocean, and it gives you hope, and your dreams come alive. And you remember that it is your blood rushing through your body that you hear, not really the ocean. Another lie. Then the power comes. I know that I am the love that I felt, and you pulled it from me like a wave, like that storm, so that you could feel alive. But it is my blood and my storm, and I raged in the wind and the rain, and I will keep that forever. My love is not yours. You didn't deserve it. You didn't earn it truthfully. And for that, I will forever be safe in the storm. Valerie Lorraine.
I asked for it. They're literally counting us down from 1 minute and 6 seconds. It's on you. Give me that last poem. Give me your plug. Valerie's going to take us out, people.
Okay. So this one I wanted to share with you because that one, so I will plug a little bit as I'm reading to you. So that poem that I read to you, Tiger Eyes, is in this book, Falling. So this is my first collection, and it's a big book. So, it's not a chapbook. It's like 226 pages of poetry. So that's where that one came from, and that was published in May of this year. So this piece is in my next book, which is released in, I don't know, I don't want to say it anymore because it was supposed to be released already, but and this piece is called Become That Poem. I became the words, watching the cursive swirl, staining white paper, birthing